On this unmasked, unedited, unwatchable video, I want to talk about, well, lots of things, but definitely the experience of autistic people and our bodies and health and all that kind of stuff. And I may even have a very special guest to talk about it with me. Welcome, my stars of Orion. I'm Orion Kelly, that autistic guy. Thank you so much for watching. I'm all about providing validation and support for autistic people and their loved ones. So here we go. Unmasked, unedited, unwatchable, and I've got a special guest who I first did a video with in December 2021. Can you believe that? It's Tay from Mum on the Spectrum. Taylor, can you believe that date?
No, it's gone by so fast. Like I can't believe that we've been making videos for years together now.
December 2021. That seems like a different lifetime. I mean,
yeah.
To put it in perspective, my youngest kid, it was like 2 then, and now he's in grade 1. It's, oh, geez. Anyway.
Yeah, life was completely different. I was like, I know I've told you, but I was like hunkered down in another room, you know, because we have to shoot at different times so we can line it up. And like, I was so nervous about getting the lighting right because I didn't have any equipment. And like, you know, it's just fun to do this now and see how far we've come.
Yeah, I mean, I made you is what you're basically saying.
Basically, yes.
But you're right, though. How much has changed? I mean, in a lot's changed.
Oh my gosh! Well, how much time you got?
Oh, I just hit my rib. Yeah.
Don't hurt yourself. We've got enough injuries.
Yeah, that's the fun part about this. You know, there's no right or wrong. We're just chatting and having some conversations and letting people in on the real unmasked, unedited lives of autistic people. And the reason why you and I are bringing... Oh, actually, let me ask you this. Why do you think we're talking about this topic? It seems like you and I maybe talk about this a lot privately, but why do you think we, out of all the topics we could have talked about, we're talking about health and our bodies?
You know what? I think it's actually something I've been thinking about a lot. I think that the autistic part of our brains so desperately crave like routine or structure. And, you know, like when you share stuff with me about kids and school, it's just like nothing's ever the same every day. And it's so frustrating to like not have a constant to be able to depend on. And one of those frustrating things that's never a constant is my body. And like, I know you've had health stuff too. And it's just like, it's not anything consistent, and it's so frustrating to have to. Lately, I've just woken up and felt like I was at the whim of my body. And I think for an autistic person, it's just like, it's like an everyday challenge to manage your body.
Mm. But you know how they talk about the brain gut connection and how they, and I always kind of like mention that you show me the science where they've actually looked into the brain-gut connection with a different brain. They haven't. There's just nothing there with autistic people, but they have. There's monumental amounts of research in the gut-brain connection, which is just scientific fact, right? It's what your brain impacts your gut and how it feels, and so then if that's the case, then surely having a different brain impacts the entire experience of your own body, right? But there's nothing about that. No one talks about that. There's no facts or research or science. There's just us, basically, us adults, not you and
having conversations.
Many people watching is too, that are just getting up every day and fighting an endless battle with their own bloody body. And I swear to God, every time I feel like there's something wrong or something sore or something, you know, something that genuinely is horrible, I don't know how many. I don't want to go to doctors anymore because I feel like they never find anything, and it pisses me off because it makes me feel like a psychopath. But it's like, well, there is. I'm telling you, like there's injuries and stuff that I have, but that's the worst part of it, right? It's like there's no research, there's no science, there's nothing about us. There isn't, but you have to acknowledge if there's a gut-brain connection, there has to be a different experience of pain and suffering and just bodily issues and your own experience with your body. Being an autistic person, but no one talks about
diet, food, like different foods affect us differently. And the other big thing that's like one of my new special interests is researching like connective tissue. And there's so many autistic people who have connective tissue differences. And you want to talk about something that affects your whole body. Connective tissue is like every square inch of your body. and centimeter or whatever you guys use. It's just like, it's every cell, and so it's like it affects so many different health conditions, and a lot of people in our community there's no there's no guidebook to consult when you have issues, and people a lot of times don't even know how, like you're saying, like doctors, medical appointments, a lot of them don't really know how to address you, and it ends up making you feel just more alone.
Yeah, but what about your special interest? Can you tell me about that? Because I don't really understand exactly how that feels, connective tissue stuff. Can you explain that to me so I understand what you're talking about, how it feels and what it is, or what do you mean?
So connective tissue, particularly the thing that I've been learning a lot about lately, is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that is highly prevalent within our community. And basically your body has the recipe for collagen, but it's a faulty recipe. So you're making collagen, but it's not serving the right purpose. Like it's not being utilized correctly. So your joints, your muscle tissue, basically just that feeling of being held together, like there's laxity, there's tightness. So if something's way too lax, another part of your body is going to overcompensate and become a lot tighter in order to offset that laxity. So it shifts every day. Sometimes you wake up and certain things are tight. Sometimes you wake up and, like, a lot of people with Ehlers-Danlos have dislocations frequently. They bruise really easily. Their skin does, like when you have a cut or a wound or a bruise, it doesn't heal very quickly. So there's just a lot of differences, a lot of different ways you have to hold your body in order to feel okay. Like just posture or sitting is difficult.
So you're obsessed about looking into that right now because why?
It's
personal
hard
to you.
It's hard to even know like how to pinpoint an answer to that question. But the last, I don't know, pick a number, 10 years of my life have been just like a constellation of weird health issues that I have been desperately searching for answers about. And part of that has been endometriosis, which I was diagnosed with last year. Part of it is a bulging disc that I've been dealing with in my back. Part of it is autoimmune issues like alopecia, where my hair falls out. But also I'm kind of, after the myriad of health providers that I've seen, I've had several at this point tell me that I really fit the profile of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it would help make sense of a lot of random issues I've had along the way. So I don't have an official diagnosis yet because it's very, if you can imagine, there's not a whole lot of people that know a lot about it. And then the person that does in my area that I really want to see, it's very expensive to get an appointment with him. And I'm just paying down some hysterectomy bills first. But in the meantime, learning about it has given me a lot of clarity in terms of like how to support myself.
And you said syndrome, right? The last word of EDS.
Yes, and that's always just kind of.
Doctor, do you have that experience every time you go to a doctor and you've got a problem? It seems to be something syndrome, and which in a way, I know that's about in the brain, but in a way, I sometimes I know my wife Renee, she's a doctor. She always goes, "Orion, you're full of shit. It's just not right." But when I hear syndrome, I think, "Oh, so you're telling me it's in my head, as in I'm crazy, right?" I get triggered by it. Like everything I'm feeling is because I'm crazy, and it's in my head because the word syndrome's at the end of it. And I feel like sometimes the word syndrome at the end of it shouldn't be there.
No, it doesn't sound stupid. And I've had a provider tell me, like, essentially is a nurse that I really trust who's helped me a lot, and her husband is autistic, so she's given me like a lot of time, and she's believed me when I've come to her with issues. But she was telling me something that I forgot because my train of thought went away. What did you say right before that?
Syndrome and like feeling.
Syndrome. She said when
crazy,
people, yes, thank you. When people put the word syndrome, like when medical providers put syndrome on something, it basically means this is a host of conditions that we don't know how to explain. We don't know what caused it. We don't know how to treat it, but we know that there's something there. So, I mean, it makes sense that you feel that way because essentially in the medical community, it's like, we don't really know what to do with you, but we kind of agree that there's something maybe to this.
Which pretty much what Renee says. That's exactly pretty much what Renee says. Except the thing is, it's like I'm triggered by it because in a way, that's kind of autism, right? Like we know you're autistic. We don't really know how to help you or what to do. And I guess that's why it kind of, and sometimes I feel like I wish I was neurotypical in a way where I could have an issue, go to the doctor, get a legitimate answer to it, and then somehow relive my life, reset my life and live normally. But I feel like that never happens. And I guess that's probably the biggest, my biggest experience. It's hard to get, maybe that doesn't exist, but it's hard to get like, this is the answer and here's the fix and you're all better. And it's like, it never ends. So you're constantly.
It never ends.
Yeah. It's a mental battle.
Like, this is the first time, I was actually thinking today, this is the first time in over maybe 2 years that I like haven't had a doctor's appointment on the schedule, because I've been managing a doctor's appointment or physical therapy. Like, I've been managing physical therapy. I've been managing endo post-op appointments. I've been managing MRI appointments, like trying to figure out what's going on with my back. So I've just continually, it's like whack-a-mole or something, like you like hit one thing down and like another thing pops up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to have, back to that consistency. It's like, I just want to have like a normal day where I wake up and I'm like, oh, like, yeah, it's just, I want to wake up and just feel normal. And I don't even know what that feels like anymore.
Yeah, like a day with a life, a future without pain and suffering. Well, but let's just stop for a second there on that. You don't know what that's like anymore. So in other words, the last few years have been just a nightmare of feeling like the light at the end of the tunnel and then driving into another tunnel. I mean, that's essentially, and this isn't so much about you, but everyone watching and hearing you and then going, oh shit, that's me. Like, that's more why it's important to talk about that. So from your point of view, basically the last portion of your life, it just, you never get a breather. Like, there's always something happening and you feel like you can't ever recover in time for the next one. Is that pretty much how it's been?
Yeah, and now that you're saying that, I mean, that is my normal. Like, my normal is that something is always hurting, something always needs to be addressed with my health. I don't remember what that's not like, and or I don't remember what it's like to not have that. But yeah, it's there all the time.
But it sounds like you've gone through so many things. I mean, like, it makes my
it's ridiculous.
Stuff, feel insignificant. But I know it's not. But it makes it feel like it feels like. Is this because you're a woman? Are you going through more stuff? Like, I don't understand the difference here. But it seems like you talked about endometriosis. I don't know a lot about this kind of stuff. But I do get the premise of what I've learned, and I also know that like one of the only fixes is basically removing everything that. Out of your body that makes babies, is essentially like just ripping the insides out, which sounds like a pretty crazy and intense emotional experience, let alone physical experience.
Yes, it is. It's been a very emotional experience for like so many reasons. But first of all, yeah, I've been through just a shit ton of stuff. Like I can't even, I mean, you know a bunch of it, but like I can't say half of it online. Like, I have been through so much shit that it's just like, it has become comical to me. I'm just like, okay, what's next? It feels completely ridiculous. But how wild it is, like, first of all, part of what I've been through is like surviving divorce, creating a new life, and then deciding that I was going to have a hysterectomy, like, by myself. Obviously, I love that I get to make that decision for myself, but it's so weird, like, not having another person to make that decision with, And so processing that, and then realizing, like, I'm not going to complain about not having a uterus anymore, but it is this huge emotional thing of like, I don't have a uterus anymore. Even if I wanted to, like, my childbearing years are over, and that's been really crazy to process, along with, so you mentioned, like, to your knowledge, like, the cure is taking everything out. That for some women can be, but for other women, I mean, sometimes getting on birth control can help because it controls the estrogen flares, and the high estrogen is like what causes the endometrial tissue to grow. So birth control is total shit too. Like, I have never done well on it. And after my hysterectomy, after they took out my uterus, then the recommended treatment is to get back on birth control so that you can control the estrogen levels. And so I did that in January, and I was so depressed. Like, nothing mattered. Everything was gray. And so I stopped that after a month because I was like, I'd rather have surgery every year than feel this way. So yes, emotional roller coaster like every single day. And I'm so exhausted, but nothing stops. So this is just my normal of just like wake up and run, but it hurts you to run, but you have to run anyway.
Yeah, I don't really. What am I supposed to? How am I supposed to say talk about it? I mean, no, seriously. I mean, I don't. So, for starters, it's pretty incredible that you are here today. Not as in dead, but like you are doing. You are achieving things. Like you're sitting there on a chair and you're talking to a person across the planet, recording something for YouTube. Like you're doing things. It's pretty incredible, given everything you've been through, that you're still out there doing life. You know, I mean, it's incredible. You're clearly far stronger than I can imagine. But
I
still,
appreciate that.
I don't get that, man. Like, why would they give you shit? Why would they give you shit that's supposed to? So why would they give you shit that to help you, but it actually makes you feel worse? It's like that's all they've got. Like they're taking stuff out of you, they're ripping stuff out of your body, and then they're giving you tablets that make you feel like shit, and that's all they've got. Like, it's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, there's a lot of different forms of birth control that you can try. I've tried a lot of different ones, but that's another thing about our community. Like, our bodies are affected differently. Collagen, which is a huge part of EDS, collagen and hormones are like linked, intrinsically linked. And there's just so much to be studied there. Like, I sincerely believe that birth control affects our community so differently. And it's been a wild ride to try to figure out like if I'm going to be on that or not. And to even have to consider that after they took, just to clarify, like I still have my ovaries and that's why birth control would work, because it's like I still have hormones. So the pills would like help with that. But it's so much to figure out.
But it's not fulfilling the overall purpose, what it's supposed to feel, because that can't happen anymore, right? You can't, it's not controlling birth because it can't be birth.
No.
That's the thing. It's so bloody confusing.
It's controlling hormones, yeah.
But still, so what you're saying is the effect of birth control on, let's say, for example, autistic women, you're saying what? It has a bigger mental impact? Is that what you're saying? Or it affects the body differently?
Sure.
Or no one knows?
Mental for sure. I mean, but I do think it affects our body differently. And like I'm saying, so EDS is another thing that's highly underdiagnosed, super prevalent in our community, not just our community, but women. Like it's predominantly affecting women, and collagen production, which is messed up in EDS, that affects hormones. And so if our hormones are off and affected by collagen, which isn't being produced correctly, then that's going to affect the way our body uses birth control. I mean, obviously I'm not a doctor, but like I've spent a shit ton of time living this and like trying to research it to the best of my knowledge. So I absolutely think it affects our bodies differently.
But then there's the mental toll. So what's the mental toll of going through all this shit for the last couple of years? I mean, how do you, and also juggling your life, kids and work. What I mean, because mental toll is health. People always make it a stigma, but that's a load of crap. Like mental toll is health. That is connected to health. Like the mental toll must be incredible on you.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you're saying like just me being here, like, okay, it's one of the, like in my head, I'm like, okay, but like, what else would I do? Because I have to show up and I have to make money for my family and I have to keep going and I have to keep working. And it's like, in a lot of ways, because this has become my normal of like every day I'm throwing money at doctors and trying to schedule doctor's appointments around kids' appointments and school. It's like everything feels impossible. My work schedule is nuts. Like it's different every day. My work hours are so much fewer than I want them to be because I just can't handle more. And it's mentally, I'm going to be honest. And I don't want to say it out loud because like universe, stay away from me. But like, I just feel like, I mean, can we say like the F word on your channel? I don't know if we'll get bleeped out. Like I feel like unfuckwithable. Like that's how I feel at this moment. It's like, give me your best shot. And I don't want to say it out loud to the universe because like, please don't, I'm tired. But like mentally, okay. Like what is the option? We'll move forward. And I don't know exactly how to do that, but I know that I'm going to try. So that's the only option for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you've received the best shots. I think they've well and truly been received. And that's my point. That's my point. You think, what else am I supposed to do? Well, you realise, Taylor, people don't show up for themselves and their kids or their family. You know, people choose. People don't choose. Sorry, I said that wrong. But I don't edit, so I'm gonna let people understand what I'm trying to say. Some people don't have the choice and they can't show up. And I'm saying you have taken the big shots and you have found the strength to be able to do stuff like this and show up. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're stronger or weaker or better or worse than other people, but I'm saying you have to acknowledge to yourself that some people aren't able to do what you're doing. So that's why I'm pointing it out. Like, you are able to show up and do it, even though you've taken what I would class as fight-ending shots. I mean, this is like you are Ivan Drago beating the shit out of Rocky. I'm telling you, this is Rocky 4 all over again. And somehow you beat the bastard. You cut him and you got him down. It took 15 rounds, but shit, you've done it.
I got him.
So this is what I'm talking about, though, because like this is it is okay for people to watch this and actually feel like maybe they can get up when they right now they may be like me. Between October and January, I couldn't show up. I couldn't do shit. I couldn't work. I couldn't do. I just couldn't take it. I had nothing left. I was shot and gone. And like it's the same because it all snowballed. Like in the last calendar year, I've had so many MRIs and CTs and X-rays, and I've got a really bad foot, I've got really bad hips, I've got a bad shoulder, and I was having all sorts of issues and pain and stuff, and I was just that's not a good combination when you have two young boys, right? Who basically it's like a fight zone every minute, and but that has a toll. That takes a toll mentally, and I that's why I just wanted to make it clear to you that it is okay to acknowledge that you were able to get up and show up, and it's also okay to not. I guess in this instance, you're the strong one and I'm the weakest piss one in this story, basically.
Well, but it's like one of those things I always remind people, like, what you see on YouTube is like the tip of the iceberg of our lives, like today I had one meeting that was like 45 minutes long, and then I was supposed to have a dishwasher installed, but they gave me a 4-hour window of time and no communication. And so literally I did nothing today. Like I was like, I don't know what to do. I can't start anything because I'm going to be interrupted and I don't know when. So I had that 45-minute meeting, and then I tried to do something all day but did nothing. And then now I have this with you. So like behind the scenes, I'm not back here just like, I mean, I will say I've accomplished a lot in the past few years, but like, it's not me back over here just like having productive days every day. Like I'll typically kind of have a productive day, and the next day I like drop the kids off at school, then come back and get in bed and like spend a lot of time in bed. And people don't see that side of it, but there's been plenty of that too.
Yeah. And you know what? Super important, super valuable. I don't want to stop here there's a few things. The first thing is it's almost like a meme. It's meme worthy about 4-hour window for a dishwasher to be installed. So I'm taking the week off. I mean, basically, that is literally how it works. If I had an appointment or something coming up, some idiot planned something, booked an appointment for me like after lunch. It's like, well, what the hell do you think I'm going to do until I'm going to blow the entire day? So that's completely relatable. I mean, there's no question there. But could I say, because we really wanted to talk about how our brains and our body don't connect or connect differently, and how we've experienced health issues and pain and suffering and struggles and stuff. But I want to be really clear, because I think it's a really good conversation to have, especially in this kind of forum, is the reason why you have to say, you see us on YouTube and that's only a small portion of our life. I would go further and say that isn't our life. That is us recording YouTube videos, and under the premise, in good faith, to help people, right? So that there's a premise, we're going to record something to help people. Also under the premise that to help people, it needs to be watchable and professional, right? So, autistic people, but we need to reach more than autistic people to help autistic people, right? Because it's kind of like you're preaching to the choir. So we have to present something that isn't our life ever. So it's the classic quote, if you've got a problem with me, text me. If you don't have my number to text me, you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me. It's a simple premise. It's just a simple premise. I swear to God, I think Spider-Man said that. But anyway, the actor. But you know what? Can I say, What's the dude's name who does Spider-Man recently? It's not Tobey
Which one?
Maguire.
I don't know. There's so many of them.
The current one. The guy that's with
can't keep up
Zendaya
with.
from The Greatest Showman. Tom Holland.
Yes.
Okay. He said that. And that's a great quote. But I want to say this. So our health and my mental health and my health is directly connected to, one way or another, my relationship with my community, because it's become such an important part of my life, right?
Right.
And there's this kind of core community who are just so supportive and so loving and so incredible. But then, of course, the exterior parts of your community, which are more people just that watch or come in and come and go, that's another thing that really impacts my health and well-being, because sometimes I feel like if I ever do anything right, a large portion of people, just want to point out everything I did wrong or why everything I do is bad, and these kind of things. And that I think they think the YouTube person is like not a real person, a real autistic person, because of how our videos are made. But of course, when we're not doing a video, I am a real autistic person, right? Mm-hmm. And that has an impact. Like for me personally. Again, Unmasked, Unedited, I'm just ranting here. The big things I've got recently is, and I don't mean from my core community, I mean just in general, is, I'm crazy big. I'm huge and big, so I must make a shitload of money. So I'm so big now, I'm not even achievable I'm super big. So don't support him, he's super big. Right? Don't support him, he's super big. He must make a shitload of money. And the second thing is, if I mention any realm of using, like any type of AI or any kind of equipment to help with brainstorming, to help with coming up with topics, coming up with ways of, writing scripts for social posts, or even coming up with ways to write scripts for videos, or any kind of use of AI, I'm automatically judged like, oh, well, if that's true, I think I don't like you, right? Like, and that just blows me away, because my entire premise is finding ways to support autistic people, and it's kind of like, by the way, they're judging me while watching me on a smartphone. You can't watch me on a smartphone or a computer and judge me for using emerging technology.
Right?
That doesn't make any sense. Then put your smartphone down. Put it on the ground, smash it to pieces, go buy a phone that plugs into a landline where you've got to dial it round, and use that. Because all you're doing is punishing the next person for using emerging technology. This will be the smartphone in 10 years. There will be no smartphones. But it's because I know I'm ranting, but it agitates me. By the way, I'm not sure what you think, people out there, not my audience, but the broader people. I'm not sure what you think about, because I have, subscribers or whatever, I'm somehow making lots of money. That's a load of shit. We're not, sorry guys, but so let's just make it videos, right? Videos. I put a video out. I'd be lucky to make $100 on a video, like a video. People think, okay, cool. So maybe I get hundreds, or, maybe I get $100 a month, or maybe I start to reach I don't know, $1,000 or $2,000. Do you think $1,000 or $2,000 a month is a good wage for someone working full time? It's a pretty shit wage, frankly.
Yeah.
And I'm actually working. There is no holiday
Sorry.
pay. There's no sick pay. I don't have any benefit. There's no security. Could all go away tomorrow. So most videos I make, which I spend, ages, for everything from getting it ready to recording it, the lighting, the sound, the cameras, they're all investments. Editing it, producing it, all the graphic overlays, the thumbnails, all myself. 0 team members, all myself. And then it may go on to make $100. Actually, you know what? Yeah. I'm going to look up how much our collaboration made, okay? I'm going to look up how our collaboration made, and you can talk if you want, but I'm going to prove to people.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just... it's true. If we were at this stage in either of our channels to just exist on YouTube ad revenue, that's not even a living wage. It's not even close to a living wage. So yeah, I think it's interesting. People see big numbers on your channel. I'm super grateful to have a large community. It's never really been about the numbers for me, but it is interesting at this stage of the game, if you want to call it, stage of the game. It is interesting. I think people think you make a lot more with this many subs, but it's you gotta have a multi-tier approach to making this a full-time gig.
But But hang on, but Tate, it's not a bad thing to develop a company. We've been working since, I think we did a collab in 2021. It's not a bad thing to develop a company for 5, 6, 10 years and make money. That's the point of developing companies. And we're punishing autistic people for developing companies and making money.
Yeah.
Like, so shut up to those people. Like, what are you, stupid? If I want to work for 10 years on a YouTube channel, I'm an autistic person. I start making money and that's a problem. What, like, get stuffed.
Yeah, don't we want this for our community? Yeah. Like, don't we want examples of people like being able to succeed in jobs that they create to help people?
The first video you and I did was the 18th of December 2021, and currently its estimated revenue to today, which the recording is the 27th of Feb 2026, is $194.90. I'm rich, Taylor.
I haven't seen a cent of it.
Oh, get stuffed. Neither have I. But you see what I'm saying? Like, hello.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also the AI stuff. I'm supposed to feel, but this affects me. This affects me mentally because I'm thinking, well, hang on. I'm finding ways to help me thrive. So if I can use a technology to help me, because I can't afford a producer. I can't afford someone to help me write scripts. Like, I can't afford a team. But back in the day, didn't like popular shows and contents, didn't they have a team of producers and script writers? Isn't that how you make a show? So It's not like it's uncommon, but I'm doing it myself in a room in my house. And if I can use for free, because it's not free, you got to subscribe, but if I can use AI to help me, how is that different? I can't afford a team. So that's the other thing I don't understand. But again, like you said, you present on YouTube and they don't see it. But I am a legit normal autistic person with with an autistic kid with 2 kids that are crazy hard, and I need all the help I can get. I need all the support I can get. And
AI is like having an extra employee. It's an accommodation for a lot of autistic people, and I think it's just a very socially charged topic right now. And I think it's really easy to direct frustration about it to people that are public, because it's people are still confused about it. They're worried that it's going to take over our jobs. And so I think it's easy to lash out at people who are talking about it or using it, because you can point the finger and be like, you're the problem. When really, like you said, it's emerging technology. I think it's worthwhile to learn about. Definitely think there need to be, ethics considered, but, I think it's easy to get mad at other people and point the finger instead of doing your own self-reflection about it.
The bottom line is, everything you said, it makes sense. The bottom line is, though, we live in a world where there's never been anything but emerging technology, right?
Yeah.
You take a horse to work? Not anymore. You don't take a horse to work anymore, right? Automobiles are safer. I mean, everything is emerging. That's the point of humanity and civilization. That's the point of civilization. It's always going to emerge. And what we do as a humanity is we hide or try to suppress what we're currently using, and then aim all our anger or dissent at the new stuff we don't understand yet. But the point is that will be our current down the track, right? Anyway, And from my point of view, can I just say, do I feel, if you think I feel worse about life, if there's a possibility in 5 years that my young adult autistic son could potentially have an AI robot keeping him company, showing him how to do things, providing him with companionship and safety, helping him navigate life. I'm nothing but happy about that. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like the bottom line is, all we're ever trying to do is find ways to support autistic people, and there aren't always enough humans to do that. There certainly aren't enough good humans to do that. Humans who want to do that. It's one thing to say we've got the people or the population, but we don't have the population of people who actually want to do it, right? Or even care to do it. So that's where I kind of find that whole thing really weird, because if you don't think my now 12-year-old autistic son, can find quality of life in having a conversation on, with an AI, talking about a special interest, who else is going to sit down with him for 3 hours and talk to him about a special interest? You tell me. Mm-hmm. But he can do that. He can tell me everything you know about this, and whether it's GPT or whatever, and I mean, hear the voice on an app, and he can have a conversation about his special interest and feels safe and secure talking about something. And, you know, so it's one of those things where I don't understand. But I guess the overall point I was making was the health impact is not just about how, you know, our brains experience our body, but the health impact also is, you know, how our brains experience the world around us. And that's a lot of that is actually, frankly, the people we come in contact with the most, our friends, our family, and you know, and also, to be honest with you, is other autistic people. It just it has a really big impact. It's not just your brain, it's people. It's the world around you. I think that, you know, is no one thinks about that, right? Except if you're a kid. Yeah, I know that's a rant, but that's what these are for. These videos are always
rant
useless
away.
Rants and sweat on my forehead. But it's like it's a real trigger for me at the moment because I feel like I'm getting bullied by potentially autistic people. Like, what?
Yeah.
What's happening here? Did I miss a meeting?
Well, no, I'm sorry to hear that you're dealing with that. I haven't really encountered that very much, but I do think I think it's a really fear-based thing right now. Like, people just don't know what AI is going to do. I mean, nobody really does. Nobody can really anticipate what's going to happen. And so I think the fear behind that, like I said, it's easier to point the finger and be like, you're the problem, like you're making it worse. But like you said, like, we need people who understand this technology. Like, AI is going to be used regardless of whether or not you use it. And so I think it's important to learn how to use it, to learn how it's shaping the future, and to figure out how we can incorporate it in a way, like you said, that's like an accommodation, because I definitely think that's possible. And it's really important I think for us as content creators to stay up to date with what AI is doing. Cause like, we want to keep creating content, and AI could leave us in the dust if we're just like, no, I'm not going to touch that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But also too, I think, you know, the big thing too is like I mentioned and you mentioned is autistic people supporting autistic people. I mean, for goodness sakes, like, do you want let's say you have a child, do you want your child to have a successful life, someone to look up to? Because autistic people being successful, whether it's, you know, financially or whatever, isn't that supposed to be the goal? Like, that's the good thing, right? We're trying, and it's not like you or I or anyone aren't opening doors for other people, aren't inspiring.
I want to know.
You were inspired, I was inspired, and now we inspire people. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I want to know who's saying that. I'm going to go beat him up. I'm going to go do my Rocky thing, and like, I'm going to beat him up. I don't know who's saying these things to you, but I'm sorry to hear that you're getting this stupid stuff coming at you.
I mean, it's not our community so much. It's par for the course, really, I think, when you start. But see, this is the thing. It's par for the course when you start to work really hard and become successful. But look at it logically. Like, you know, what a lucky fluke, what an overnight sensation I've been. I started making videos in 2020. I mean, it's 2026. So, you know, it's not what's the difference between them and me? I actually work every day and don't give up, right? Actually, before I say that, did you want to say something?
I mean, and you know this, but I just want to say, like, I want you to succeed so tremendously. And there's so many people in this community, do. And I know it's so easy to focus on the negative voices, but I just will gently say, Orion, that what you focus on, you'll create more of. And I know that it's really hard not to listen to those voices, but there's so many people in our community that love you and want you to have everything that you need for a really comfortable life. And I hope that you'll remember and focus on those voices when you can, because there's a lot of them that are for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm indifferent to your success. Anyway.
Perfect. I have to go.
Well, it's a joke. Well, but what I was going to say was, this was like a quick switch. But do you like often think, based on your experiences, that like as we start to, we're growing and aging. Like groundbreaking.
I don't have a uterus. Yeah.
Yeah, groundbreaking news. We're aging.
I'm old.
We're getting older. We're living. Our life is going ahead of it. Do you honestly think that, in fact, maybe all this shit's just going to get worse? Like, where's no, like the health stuff. The health. Like,
no, I know. It's awful.
And how do you? I don't know. How do you deal with it? I just catastrophize it, man. Like, so if the body stuff doesn't get me, cognitive decline will, right?
it is hard, and my birthday's next week, and I'm closer to 40 now, which is like such a weird thing, and can't have any more kids. And it's just been this huge thing of like, I didn't want to have any more kids. It's fine. But there's like a thing about not being able to. And like, I look in the mirror and like my skin is different, my body's different. And I went to a wedding with my best friend, and the person getting married was like 20, I can't remember, 22. And all the groomsmen, I was basically like backup wedding coordinator. They were all calling me ma'am. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm not a bridesmaid anymore. Like I'm very clearly like not the young bridesmaid crowd. I am like the crowd above that. And so it has just been this weird thing of like, I'm getting older. But to take it back to our health stuff, part of the thing with EDS, with Ehlers-Danlos, is collagen production starts decreasing significantly the older you get. So literally just from here to the end, it's just like collagen's just going to get worse. And if I have a collagen disorder, it's like, well, I guess I just need to make peace with things hurting and being too tight and just having to foam roll all day, every day. So I'm trying to make peace with that because I don't know if it'll get better. It might get worse.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, right? Because you realize the way around this is like a healthier lifestyle, and doing things. But then you realize as you get older, all that stuff is harder. And and the problem is, you start to feel like, well, I can't even do anything to help myself. Or if I do, I hurt something else.
Yes, like I feel like, okay, I want to work out, and then I work out, and then I have a pain flare, and then I can't work out the next day. So it's like, I don't know how to take care of myself. Like really the only thing I can do is like walk and stretch. And I'm like, when did I become old so that my body like can't do things? I hate it. It's just infuriating.
And let's say there's autistic women and they're watching this and they're kind of like in a similar feeling or position to you. Like, do you think they get the connection, or do you think they just think it's only them? Like, do you still think that this is new news to a lot of people?
Oh, for sure. Because for me, it's been, and I think I told you, it's been one of those things where like I just woke up one day and I was like, damn, I do a lot of things that people with Ehlers-Danlos do, and it's just like your life slowly becomes this accommodation where like, oh, I forget. I started doing this differently because I couldn't bend over that way, or I started having to hire somebody to clean the house because I can't, like my body can't. I won't be able to work the next day if I clean the house. And so you just slowly over time make all of these changes until your life becomes like, oh, I didn't used to have to do that. So I think there's a lot of women who have all these challenges that maybe they know something's off, but don't really know quite how to articulate it. And again, I don't have the official diagnosis, but I think things like Ehlers-Danlos, autoimmune conditions, honestly, endometriosis affects a lot of women in our community too. And that's a lot of chronic health issues that it's a constellation of things that women don't have a name for a long time. So yeah, I think a lot of women are just trying to make it day to day without having many words to describe their experiences.
And I mean, there's no question that, neurotypical women suffer and have all sorts of issues too. But I think like in my research and videos, I noticed too that I think autistic women go through things like PMDD and these really like horrible, there's a whole different type of experiencing your period effectively. And your menstrual cycles and how it's just like you just about rather die than go through it effectively.
Yeah, and early menopause. A lot of women in our community go through early menopause, perimenopause earlier than most people.
But they probably don't connect this. Maybe they're late diagnosed, maybe they're undiagnosed, maybe they were diagnosed since kids, but they're probably not connecting these things. Like you talk about autoimmune stuff. What do you mean? What's that? I know what it is, but what do you mean? What specifically?
Autoimmune disease, 80% of people with autoimmune disease are women. It's one of those things where there's not a whole lot, there's a lot more that we need to know about it, but kind of seems to be triggered by stress. It's when your body basically attacks itself. So like with my alopecia, my body attacks my hair follicles because it's stressed and overwhelmed. So it says, oh, I'm going to attack, I have too much inflammation, so I got to send it somewhere. So autoimmune conditions, it's kind of an umbrella term for a lot of different conditions that women deal with, and they tend to be more prevalent in the neurodivergent communities as well.
And you talked about diet before, but autoimmune, like, isn't, because I know I can't have a lot of dairy, but then also I think my wife's a celiac, so celiac disease. Which I feel like that's under the same banner, but like a wheat. Does diet? So for starters, does diet play a role in your decisions now? But also, there must be a lot of people that don't have the connection, that don't realize the impact. That certain things, wheat, dairy, I don't know. What's it? How does it impact you? Like, what's your dietary changes?
It affects me tremendously. When I was pregnant with my son Cooper, like half of my hair fell out and I was wearing wigs, and I had tried everything. And the last thing I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to totally overhaul my diet and see if that helps. And I took gluten out. I felt better mentally than I could remember feeling when I took gluten out. I have nothing to substantiate that other than lived experience of like my anxiety is significantly less with gluten out of my diet, and I haven't had gluten in a decade, other than accidentally glutening myself. I too struggle with dairy, but I eat it because I love it. Alcohol tends to make my pain worse, but it's one of those things where, like, on a tough week, I just need to have a little bit of something numbed because everything's on fire. And so I might have a glass of wine. The next day, my pain's going to be worse. So I know that when I eat cleanly, like I've done elimination diets before, I've felt better than I ever have in my entire life. But then you mix in shit like ARFID, avoidant restrictive food intake, where it's like eating, like being fed is better than eating correctly, or like eating, not that you can eat correctly, but eating well. So my thing has to be like, Taylor, you just have to eat enough food, and that's really hard to balance with eating cleanly. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is like, I know I will feel so much better if I take out dairy, sugar, alcohol, but like, who the hell wants to do that? Like, everything else hurts all the time. The one thing I have is like good food. And so it's really, really hard.
But that's 100% like one of the biggest issues, one of the hardest things to navigate being autistic is your safe foods and the safe textures and the things but then also managing your diet. Like, for example, for me, I'd probably want to have a lot of wheat and dairy based foods when I feel dysregulated emotionally or physically, or like a safe food. But the problem is I've got to deal with the hangover or the horrible feelings after that. But in that moment, I guess in that moment as an autistic person, like, what do I want? Do I want to feel regulated and a bit more,
you have to choose.
And more peaceful and happy, or a horrible day in the guts and stuff? And that's something that people don't kind of value. Like, that's a horrible, horrible game to play.
Horrible. That's every day. I'm glad you said that's like every day of my life. And it's the same thing with a stimulant. Like for ADHD, when I take a stimulant, my brain works and I can sit down at my desk and I can have a productive day and I can actually get shit done. But then my nervous system is crap and my heart rate is soaring all day, super uncomfortable. I can't sleep that night. And then all my pain's worse the next day. So it's like exactly like you said, okay, well, I've got meetings tomorrow, so I'm going to take a stimulant, but then I'm not going to sleep all that night and I have to take half the day off. So it's constantly this balance of like, what do I want to give up in order so that I can have something that's nice? I hate it. It's the worst.
Yeah. That's what makes it so hard. I swear that's what makes it so hard. But then that affects your health, because it's like, okay, so I want to eat an entire pizza by myself, an entire pizza or an entire block of chocolate, or, a crap load of cheese on crackers because I love cheese. But then I know that it's going to affect my health so bad the next day. Like, and, the horrible gut aches or the bloating or, like too much dairy, and it really affects my gut. Like, you can get constipated and all sorts of things. And that just adds more pain and more stress and more anxiety. And that's the thing. It's impossible to navigate that because you only want to have what's safe. And when you have what's safe, it's bad for you. And then it's just a vicious spiral. I'm glad you brought that up, because I
you brought it up.
Well, I think you did. I think you brought it up with diet stuff.
I'm glad we talked about this. It's really it's like story of my life. the lesser of two evils, and then I spend so much time in my brain thinking about it. I have this love-hate relationship with stimulants, and like I've gotten off of them several times, and like when I do, it's because I'm tired of the mental battle every day. It's like I just don't want to have to choose whether or not to take it, so I'm just not going to, and it's awful because I truly feel like it helps so much when I take it, but there's so many negative side effects, and the mental battle of that is almost more exhausting than it's worth ever.
I'm pretty certain my brain has made it now where doing things that are good for me are so much harder than doing things that are bad for me. I swear to God, my brain has made that. Like, eating things, sitting on the couch instead of exercising, eating the bad stuff instead of the good stuff. Like, it's horrible. But you talked about that too, right? Like you'd much rather have a drink or eat these things and that things just because of the feeling you get.
Yeah, that. And then also I was going to say, a lot of this too is just the state of the world. Like everybody is hurting so much right now. Like there's just stress, there's, strife, there's conflict just seemingly everywhere, and we see it all the time, and all of our nervous systems are shot. Like we're not supposed to be able to tolerate all of these headlines every day, and so there's just this collective like shutting down of how do I process all of this. So it's a very real need to rest and to recalibrate, and you have that on top of like you started this conversation with, those things affect autistic bodies differently. So we're all dealing with this collective what the hell, and then autistic bodies are like, yeah, but when you're so predisposed to seeking justice and like getting bent out of shape when there's injustice anywhere, and then like how do I have a normal work day when I know what's going on outside? It's completely debilitating.
And you just want to numb it, right? Like you said, sometimes.
But then you numb it, and then everything's worse the next day.
I know, but this is why autistic people can have such horrible relationships with addiction to things. I don't mean it doesn't. By the way, it doesn't have to be high level addiction, right? It just has to be. It's almost like you're dependent, right? Like the only way you can get yourself back into a regulation zone now is, well, you have to have a couple of glasses of wine, or you have to have a beer, or you have to eat a block of chocolate, or it's not so much you're an alcoholic or you're addicted to something, but you in a way you kind of are. Like there's this dependence on things to numb it, because you're adding all the health stuff and all the issues, everything you've talked about, but frankly, plus I think the PTSD of living your life today, right? No, seriously.
Yeah. No, seriously. Yes.
And that's
I'm laughing because I'm fucking exhausted.
No, you should be. Like
my body is still like, that's part of it. Like I'm hypervigilant all the time. Like I don't know how to turn my body off because I have been chronically stressed, and it is just, I'm trying to be patient with myself, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to feel like my body can rest again.
It won't.
I don't know.
And when you're dead, basically, it's a Bon Jovi song. But the thing is, though, no, seriously, it's now scientifically backed and proven that autistic people who grew up autistic and certainly parents of autistic kids now have the same classification of PTSD as war zone PTSD. It's the same.
Oh, wow.
It's effectively the same classification. Now, of course, you have very different experiences, but that's not what it's about. It's what it does to your body and your brain. Right?
Yes.
So being in a war zone or parenting autistic kids and living an autistic life, what it does to your nervous system and your brain. So this is not about minimizing people that fight for their country. What I'm saying is, it is what it does to your ability to I guess rise to the demands of stresses. So, for example, you have a stress, and your brain does something. But for us now, we don't need a stress for our brain to release a stress response. We don't need the cortisol and stress hormones will pump through our body, right, just from being startled by something outside, or just from the smallest, stupidest thing happening. It doesn't need to be getting shot. Or, see what I'm saying? That's what the experience has done to our brains and our nervous system. It is. So the best way I'd explain it to people at the moment is, I feel like I'm stuck in a stress response and I can't get out. Like I feel like I'm never not in a stress response. I'd rather be dead, frankly, than be in that. But that's where I feel like I am at the moment. I'm stuck in a stress response. Now, most people are only supposed to experience that because of the caveman brain when they're about to be attacked, right?
Right.
But if you're only experiencing that, there's no stopping that. It's not a sustainable way of living life. And of course, that's where the PTSD comes in. And then that filters into all the other issues we've talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's reminding me of, I mean, that's essentially an autoimmune disease. Like when there's a switch flipped, it's like be hypervigilant all the time and stay at this inflamed response. Like, and then your body doesn't know how to shut it off. It's like the threat is gone, but your body is still like, I don't believe you. Like I'm going to keep doing this just in case. So it makes sense how being in these states would just perpetuate. It's like this is so uplifting. It's like what we've been talking about. It's just like going to keep the cycle going. Everything keeps the cycle going.
This is, I obviously should wind this conversation up, but this does remind me of something that I remember Renee recently said something, like when I'm too jumpy or something. And I said, that finally epiphany hit me. I thought, you know what though? I've realized what I am. I'm a bodyguard. I know that sounds ridiculous, but in my mind, they say, you don't have to do that to them. I'm like, no, I do. They're my kids and I'm their bodyguard. My mind, genuinely, I'm the Secret Service with the, with the president or something. Like that's my constant state. I'm not a helicopter parent in that respect. What I'm saying is I'm the one where, here's an example, right? Let's say Hugo doesn't realize he's about to walk into the corner of something and he's going to smash his head open, right? Rather, my brain doesn't have Orion, he's a child. Be nice and gentle. Say, Hugo, you're about to hit something. Please veer left or something. My body, in effect, just about pushes him out of the way and my hip gets slammed into the corner of the furniture to stop him. I bodyguard him. And she's like, you can't push a child out of the way. I'm like, mate, he would have cut his head open. And then I realized my brain thinks it's a bodyguard reaction. Does that make sense? Like, but that's with everything in life. I'm trying to put myself in the harm's way of others, even if it means pushing the president down flat on his face so he doesn't get shot. Do you see what I'm saying?
Have you made a video about that? That would be like an excellent video. There's so much there.
Maybe I think people will judge me as like an aggressively horrible parent or something.
Well, I'm sure you could find other ways that you feel like a bodyguard that would feel more comfortable. Maybe we can talk about it later, but it'd be a great video
about it.
But there's so much, like, what you're talking, like, while you're talking, I'm like, there's so much you could go into on that. I think it's highly relatable.
But
and you could find examples,
I think. That part there and go, oh, what a horrible parent. He kind of, in a way, he kind of nudges his son out of the way.
I think it's real. I mean, there's not a lot of content out there that talks about the realities of being an autistic parent, parenting autistic kids. Like anyone who knows you knows that you love your kids and you prioritize them and their health. And like,
well, that's why I'm doing it. But my brain doesn't understand. My brain doesn't know what else to do. How do I get Hugo from not cutting his head open on the furniture? The only way is to get him out of that way. To like a bodyguard would do, right? Put myself between it, and that might mean him getting nudged or pushed, but not in a violent way, but my brain. So I feel bad that that's my brain's response. It makes me feel bad, but my brain doesn't have any other reason. What am I supposed to do? Gently ask a child? They don't care if I ask them to do something, and there's time to do that. Anyway, I appreciate you saying those nice things, but I do feel quite bad about that's how my brain works.
Well, I think, I think I appreciate the honesty, and there's so many reasons that we feel bad as a parent, because of X, Y, and Z, but I think it's just your body. And I don't really know. I'm sharing this because it seems kind of related. Like you were talking about being in a hypervigilant, like stress response state. And I wonder like if and when that softens, if your reflexes would respond differently, like maybe because you feel hyperprotective and hypervigilant, that's informing more of like your body's natural reaction. And there's no shame in that. I think it's just like your body is in an elevated state and that's kind of the initial response.
And you're right. That is my natural state right now. That's exactly right. And that it's like I'm not judging either way, but that's exactly right. And that's why that would be my reaction because I'm so hypervigilant that it's an instant fix, right? It's no different to if I was a bodyguard for anyone. And my job is to protect them. I'm going to protect them. I'm not going to gently ask them to move out of harm's way, right? Anyway, I think that's one of the big things, and that's that's what we all feel like. I feel like most autistic people are more in that kind of hypervigilant sense of living, and that can make it really hard. But If you ask the CIA, most people they hire now, they don't hire unless they have an anxiety condition, because they now know that anxiety creates a level
keeps
of
you on
focus
guard
and hypervigilance that is actually better for their field people. They actually look into people with history of anxiety, because
hopefully they don't recruit us from this video. Please, I'm not taking no interviews. Anyway, I'm not open for employment. So
last chance in case you missed anything you wanted to say. I'm just giving you an opportunity before we stop. If I missed anything you really wanted to share or you really wanted to say to people.
I mean, I think it's just like, I think the thing I've learned the most is just to trust your intuition and to the best of your ability, like not compare your experience to another person in terms of like what's normal or right or okay. Like your body will give you feedback, and I think it's so common for people in our community to suppress that feedback because we've been told like you're hypersensitive, you're overthinking, you're overanalyzing. But, our body is really like the best source of information we have in terms of what is actually going on. So if your body's giving you feedback that something's off, trust your gut, be gentle with yourself. I think, a lot of times health stuff feels really urgent. It feels like I have to fix this. I have to figure out what's going on. But just to move gently and slowly with yourself, remember the basics, like stay hydrated. Being hydrated, especially like with EDS, hydration can quell a whole host of issues if you're dehydrated. So do the basics, drink water, prioritize rest as best as you can, and then, keep advocating for yourself to get the help that you need, even if a lot of people along the way tell you that you're crazy, because it's not all in your head. Your body's very, very wise. And even though I hate it sometimes, it is a gift. Like the information that I've been through a lot of stuff, and I'm realizing like my body has spoken to me the whole time. And now that I'm more aware of that, I think it, moving forward, will make for a more fulfilling, like enjoyable, fun, playful kind of chapter. So I think our bodies, just listen to them and be kind to them, and trust your experience.
Yeah. Hey, this has been really great. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Tay.
I always love talking to you.